Hello everyone, welcome to my live stream. My name is Denise Hutchins and I'm broadcasting to you from Studio Mikarts. It is the first day of February, yay! I can't believe that we went through January so fast. The new month means time for a new charity to support. I chose Vegan Outreach this time. It was kind of hard to choose because most months, well, let's say half the months of the year, I have a special reason to choose a certain charity, but for these early months in the year, Veganuary aside, because that's always January, I'm like, wow, who am I going to pick? Well, Vegan Outreach sent me an email this morning, a little email update, and so that's why I picked them this time to feature in February. So I'll be making a donation at the end of the month based on unique viewers count for the month, so please bring as many people as you can and make me donate as much as possible. My goal right now is if we get 100 unique viewers, then it has to be 101. 101, I'll finally donate more than $10 because my minimum is $10. There's also a donation button on my page there, and I would be extremely happy if you wanted to support them as well through that option. But aside from that, what I'll be working on today is my Autumn Gryphon illustration. Yay! This is meant to be a greeting card. And I have here the other two that I've already done. This is spring and this is winter. And I got them out because before I say I'm done with physical media for this, and then there's digital work that will be done, I want to check what these are looking like and make sure this looks just as complete. There's definitely some things that I know I want to do. I got my little pack of gouache out so that I can add some nice gouache details. Let me show you how it looks on. Here's the spring one, is the first one I did. Oh, my light is not on. No wonder it was so dark in here. One of my lights was not on. There. This is how the gouache looks on top. So essentially, originally gouache was opaque watercolor. A lot of gouache is also acrylic paint, and I don't like acrylic. I like the traditional kind because you can reactivate it with water. But anyway, either one looks nice and has these nice little, like you see all these little white marks are the gouache on top of the watercolor. And like, even though this is in the corner, this is one of my favorite spots, is the back of that petal catching the light. We also have the gouache use in the winter griffin as well. Little highlights and maybe perhaps little snowflakes even on the cardinal griffin. And shines on the claws, all this stuff in the little bits to make the branches look, oh wait, this was scraping. These ones were scraping, so scraping away. So that's another option I can keep in mind. That's why I got these out, so that I could remember the things I did. But then there's other parts like these little bits of snow here. This is definitely gouache. So scraping away the page on the branch, but then little dabs of gouache paint. So yeah, I got these out just to make sure. I actually did do a little bit more ink work yesterday after the stream was over because I was just so in the groove and I didn't want to stop, so I started, I added some lines, curved hatching lines on the branches. Not everywhere, but especially places where there would be extra shadow because of these griffins hanging over the branch. And so here's a great example where I didn't want to put it just everywhere and make it all flat, but I put some here, but not on this branch. Here it's like just a tiny bit in the crook, but then it kind of, no ink at all, and then a tiny bit here. Just that kind of thing. And I'm actually pretty satisfied. Coming back with fresh eyes today, I'm pretty satisfied with how that's looking. But I do think there might be some areas that I'd want to add more ink anyway, but I want to look at these. So I'm going to, let's just hold these next to each other. So I've been showing you, so I haven't been able to actually look very well. So now I'm going to hold it for me to look, because there might not actually be anything, but I have not sat properly and looked yet. As I did put some on the leaves already. And I added that extra to the branches. And we have plenty that we did on stream, and it's looking really nice. I'm especially pleased with, coming back to it today, I'm especially pleased with how the outline on these talons worked out, because it's so easy with such a teeny tiny spot to overdo the ink, but they came out looking nice and sharp and clean outlines, and the brown was excellent. Definitely didn't want to use black, using brown there, so that they stand out against the background, but they don't stand out too much. Like, they don't look like, why are the talons, so much focus on the talons, so they don't stand out in that way. Maybe the only thing I might want to do is a little gray. I have some gray ink just for some areas around the edge. So I think I'll keep how there's only the edge of the paint or the leftover graphite that can be seen from the original sketch that was transferred to this page. I'll leave that here in between because I like this feeling like one big unit. But here we're losing a lot of the head of the griffin because the paint bled down and I didn't notice. So if I put just some gray ink line to bring that outline back, and maybe just a little bit over here, though it's not too bad, but it's happening a little bit over here too. Then that way, you don't even have to take that color away, but just having that line there will be like, okay, that's part of the griffin and not part of the leaf. So I think I will do a little bit of gray ink to start with. Just for that. That's the only thing so far that I've been like, yeah. Okay, so I'm getting up and I'm gonna get my inking stuff. Gotta get in my closet. Let's see, my gray ink. Those are all black. Is this it? Muted gray. I think this is, it's actually, it says muted gray, but it's kind of a purple color, but black, black, black. That's purple. That's actual purple. Okay. Alright. So here's the muted gray ink, and I think even in the stream here you can see it says muted gray, but it's definitely purple, and it hasn't been used in a while, so it's separating in there. So I shall tumble this a bit. It's much better to tumble or to rotate than to shake like this, because if you shake it, it gets lots and lots of bubbles, and then you have to somehow get your pen or your brush through all those bubbles, and then they pop everywhere and ink starts splattering, and then your brush is just all covered in ink all the way up to the part where you're trying to put your hand, you know, so. And there's still so much in here that I don't really need to, I don't need to mix it until this yellow disappears, because there's just so much that it's gonna be fine. Okay, so I'll let that sit for a second while I get my pens out. I already did little test swatches with the 3 main nibs that I usually choose from. So I'm gonna go ahead and go back to the Saji pen, because that one was really nice. I was able to get really fine lines, but still a little more, if I want to make thicker lines, I can, kind of thing. Okay, so I'm opening this ink up. I'm going to set the stopper on this side. I was setting it over here, but it kept, oh, I didn't put my phone on the charger. Hold on. Put my phone on the charging stand. Oh, I was watching my favorite, Fiona Oakes. I'm a supporter of hers on Patreon. I was watching her videos. It's still on, so good thing I remember to put that on there because I don't. I had the volume up high, so turn the volume down. Okay, Saji pen. I don't remember what I was saying before I realized that. Oh, I was putting the stopper on that side, but then it kept trying to roll away. So now I'm going to try to put it on the left side because I've got my towels over there, so it doesn't really roll away on the towels. Okay, I'm going to keep this line as much in the shaded area of this griffin as possible to keep it kind of subtle. But I'm going to bring it a little bit up, a really broken line, just to help differentiate this griffin from the background. And then I'm going to work my way across and do that for everybody. And most of these griffins actually don't need that much help. There's just a few areas where it's light color next to light color, and then just a little ink will help make a distinction between what's what. Here's another instance of the paint coming down into the head of the griffin so it doesn't look as round. So like right here, I didn't put any ink because this color and this color are so different that the contrast is high enough naturally without adding a line. Another thing I can add by adding lines is little indications of fluffiness, so little tiny curved lines. So I wonder if this wing might also benefit. Is this not focused? I think it's focused. Hold on. Oh, that's better. It wasn't quite focused, I don't think. This leg, just the top part getting close to the knee, and then this part of the wing on the closest griffin, I think I'll do the same thing. Doing my best to be as subtle as possible about it, though. Less is more. Bring the ink in a little bit too on these feathers on the wing, so it doesn't seem only like this ink is an outline color. Oh yeah, so small, such a small little area, but even seeing it on my screen over to my left, it makes a big difference. This wing is much more defined background wing, instead of sort of bleeding into each other almost. Okay, I'm just looking more any other areas. So this brown is actually a fairly similar color to the leaf that's behind it. So I'm going to add a little bit, even though it's not brown ink, but it's gonna add, it's such a tiny space. I'm not gonna get out a different color of ink. So just gonna add a little bit here to do the same thing. Okay. I think that's good. I'm seeing their little booties hanging down here. I could add a little ink there, but I think I'll leave it because these are farther in the background than the faces, and the point is to look at the faces. So, okay, I'm just cleaning my nib, rinsing my nib. It's much better if you clean as much of the ink off as you can while it's still relatively fresh on there. Especially if you might be using that nib again, because it can start to get caked on, so that even if you've just dipped it in ink, there's so much old ink already caked on that it just won't write anymore. Okay, let's look for any other areas where I might want to add ink before we move on to gouache and then move on to digital. So in this one, areas where I added ink were the needles. Just a little line. It's not outlining the entire needle, but just when it was really close and really shaded, close to the branch, or it was darker. And there's also ink on the branches themselves, which I did do here. Lots of scraping. That's another thing I want to do. Especially scraping might be really nice along this top edge of this branch, because that's where the strongest highlight is in my reference image, which I'm not even looking at the reference image anymore. I've gotten that far. I didn't even open it. Did not even think about it, didn't think I would need it, and I don't feel like I need it now. And then looking at this one. And maybe the only thing I might like to do is add a little outline around the eyes, because the eyes in these two griffins are really well defined. But these little griffins just have watercolor eyes, so they're kind of rough around the edges. Like, it's literally a rough circle instead of the almost perfect circle that they look like in real life. So let's add some ink there. I'll just use this same muted gray color. Oops, I grabbed my brush instead of my pen. Oh, I want my pen. The brush is for the gouache. And because of the texture of the watercolor paper, I'm making teeny tiny movements instead of one big long outline movement. If you make little smaller movements to get in the outline, then you can get a much more round shape, because this paper is so textured that it will take command of your brush or your pen if you just drag it across the surface. And here I'll show you the result of this one before I do the rest. So you can even compare. So these eyes are just done with watercolor. As you can see, they've got that rough edge because the paper is controlling some of the outcome. But just now, carefully, sort of almost tapping the pen on the page, able to get this much rounder and much cuter outline for the eyes. Okay. Yeah, putting the top of the ink bottle over there is much better. I mean, I guess I could just put something over here to put the top on. It's too late. It's already sitting over there. Just gonna leave it. This is one of those times also when I have to just look and I can't blink. Or if I'm gonna blink, I see my pen is not even writing. If I'm gonna blink, I have to strategically do it and like wait until I'm not trying to make a mark. Okay. This one's eye is covered a little bit by the beak too, so I want to retain that.
I suppose it's also not just outlining, but sort of filling in the gaps where the watercolor. So sometimes watercolor is fairly round already, so I don't really need to add anything. But then there'll be like a little gap, and so put a little ink in there to complete the roundness. Alright, one more.
Boom. Okay. Set that down, cap this again. If I can remember, I always like to recap my ink, and I also like to hold the ink bottle just to avoid any spills. Luckily, I've never had like some big spill. I always imagine it. Or I knock the bottle over and it covers my piece. I've never had that happen, but it could totally happen, so that's why I tried to think of the possibility and how to avoid it. Okay. Awesome, that's another nice little detail that I didn't notice yesterday. Like, I was in the zone yesterday. I really didn't want to stop streaming, actually, because I was like, let's just finish this, but no, it's not healthy. I used to do that. I used to do marathon sessions of art making, and then I would be so exhausted, and then I wouldn't make anything for like 6 months. So I much prefer this, making myself stop so that I can continue making every day instead. I think we're getting really close to done though with the ink. Maybe, I don't know if I'd want to do it with ink though, but I'm looking at, I'll show you the difference. These are slightly bigger, so there's more area to work with, but these feet are much more detailed. Especially not just with the highlighting, but with the shading. So I kind of want to add more shading to these feet, so they're on the same kind of level. But I don't want to get my watercolor out, to be honest. So I'm thinking maybe I can just add a little hatching. I'm going to take a drink of my yummy tea drink. I don't know which flavor I'm drinking. It just tastes like yummy tea. Smells good too. We just opened the new bag of vanilla tea. But I think we haven't actually used it. We just filled up the container. The tea container. Okay. I do have a towel on this side. I forgot. I keep a towel in this bag with my pens. There. Okay. More muted gray, and let's add some more detail. More shading with ink to these claws, to the feet. They won't be can I say this? Drawn, painted. They won't be created exactly the same as the winter griffin's feet, but at least they'll have a similar amount of definition. So these are much smaller feet too, so it's a lot harder. If you heard a big sigh, that was my big dog, Aoife.
we started having a mobile nail trimming service come. They come trim your dog's nails at home. And it's so nice. I mean, the puppies hate it. They hate it. Our dogs hate it. Except at the end when they get their treats. And then they're like, yay, the tails are all wagging. It's so much better than what I used to do with my previous dogs, which was I would have to like hold them up by myself in like a corner so that I could hold them so that I could safely trim their nails while they're struggling, and then trim the nails, and then it would just take so long, and I didn't like having to hold them like that. I felt really bad about it, but then it's like, but their nails, if you don't trim them, they can start getting pain in their joints if the nails are too long, you know, so it was like a lesser evil kind of thing. This way, yeah, the dogs have to be held so that it can be done, but it's over in like literally 5 minutes. 5 minutes or less. All 4 paws done, including dew claws. And then, like, it's just so much relief for me, too. Like, it's, yeah, if it has to be done, I think it would be much better that it's done faster. So, they always sleep in here, but I think they're a little more tired than usual because they had their pedicure today. Okay, I'm looking. I think I'm satisfied with the ink. I think I ink. I'm having that like, oh no, but what if I miss something? I'm gonna put this, so sorry you can't see anything, but with the reflection of my lights on it, you can see me, you can see my reflection in there. Anyway, I'm setting this up ways so I can just sit back and look at it overall. I do think it's pretty good though. One of the things I learned in my, well, I can't remember which, if it was the illustration classes or the general art classes like painting or drawing, but in one class I had my mind sort of blown when it was like, well, there's a point where you have to stop. That's part of being an artist, is knowing when to stop. I did see one area that I want to add more, which is actually right next to where I had added. Just want to do some more defining ink lines around. I'd used the brown but yesterday, but it was not very opaque. I had to add water to it because it had dried, so it was pretty watered down. So I'm adding this gray instead today to add a little bit more definition to these back feet. Alright, that's better. That's much better. Okay. Alright, while I have some ink on my brush, on my pen, I keep looking at this spot and I'm like, maybe it needs it, maybe it doesn't need it. I'm just going to go ahead and do it because I keep thinking about it, so I may as well do it. If it keeps catching my eye, it probably needs a little bit. Okay. Wash the nib, pen nib. Oh, little dog Chappie's having a dream. She's going boom, boom in her sleep and snorting. That sounds like Aoife might be having a dream too. Oh my goodness, I just noticed a leaf that I'd like to add a little a little ink too. Wow, I'm glad. I'm glad I've been looking. So I wanted to add ink to all the leaves that I originally hand drew, each individual frond. This one I missed. Let's use that orange ink. Because the leaf next to it has the red. And I think I ended up using red on more leaves than the orange, so. Whoop. Okay. Just like yesterday, I'm not doing a complete outline. Just trying to help it stand out a little bit more. Okay. Sweet. Sweet. Yeah, I think that's good. Okay. Put the lid back on this. Rinse the nib. Something I could do is add some hatching onto the griffins, but because they're white feathers, and the griffins that I did before, not really white. I mean, there's some lighter areas here, but they're all in shadow. And I don't think I have... The gray that I have is this gray, and it's not that light. So I don't want to overdo it and take away from their fluffiness by adding... Oh, I did scraping on here too. You can see the difference actually right next to each other. This is scraping, this area here, this V, and then this is gouache. And of course this little dots in the eye and stuff. Now let's call ink good. And if I want to do scraping, I want to do it first before gouache. That way the gouache will sit on top if I happen to touch the two. So all I do for scraping is get an X-Acto knife, which I'm getting right now. What? Don't run away. Let's stick them into this cork because they don't. I have one that came with a lid, not a lid, a cap, but most of mine did not. So stick them in here so that there's no unhappy accidents. Okay, so the first place I definitely want to scrape is the highlight along the top of the branch. So it should really look like highlight too. since in theory, the paper that's exposed by scraping will look even brighter than the background because I put that wash down all over the whole. I want to make sure this is not going off the screen. Okay. So I'm scraping away everything so it should expose the natural paper color. Which will be lighter than even the lightest color, and otherwise, I mean, except for the margins, but because I put that big wash down of light. I don't remember what colors I use. It's obviously like orangey yellow or something. Oh yeah, it's standing out way more. I like to keep stuff clean, but these little teeny tiny pieces of paper are so small that I just swipe them onto the floor because they're just so small. Even I have my limits for keeping things tidy. Like with eraser bits. Those I'll carefully swipe into the trash can. But these bits are so teeny tiny itty bitty. And we're just going to bring it all the way across. So I love it from an illustration standpoint. I think this is great to have this highlight on the branch going through the middle because it brings attention to the heroes of this image. But then it also, according to the reference image that I used for the environment, that's just naturally how it looks anyway. So that's so nice. I think there should be a little bit, especially on these bigger branches, not just tiny little highlights here too. So let's go ahead and scrape those in. But I'll try to keep them smaller, thinner than this main branch, so that they don't take away. They don't take away from the star of the show. And also adding this helps differentiate visually this branch that's behind it by having this whiter line coming across. Let's do a little bit on this one. But this branch is, I'm imagining it even further inside this canopy of leaves. So I'm just going to do a couple of areas. I'm not going to scrape the entire branch. So here, I'll show you what I mean. I just scraped along here and along here. Left this. But meanwhile, the big branch, except for areas where it's shadowed by the griffins that are sitting on it, it's got the big highlight scraped all the way across. Okay, so there's actually even more areas that I can add some scraping, that I think it would be better to do scraping rather than adding highlights on top. And I'm thinking about these wings here. So I think the edges might be catching some light. And again, I don't have my reference image up this time, so this is just me working from imagination, but This also gives the wings a little bit more feathery texture, I think, or at least texture. And then the fact that they're feathers, I think it's the viewer can put two and two together. So even if it's not naturalistic, I think it will still look nice, basically. It makes these feathers more interesting, if nothing else. Let's do these ones as well, especially because they're pretty boring. These leaves on the feathers. The feathers on the back wing leaves. It's because there's so many leaves, it's hard to say. And they're such similar things, like smaller things growing off of a bigger thing. Anyway, they're kind of boring, even though, according to reference, this is what they should look like. So let's make them a little bit more visually exciting with some scraping. Yeah, that's why I got my... I totally forgot I did scraping on the other ones. It's been so long. I did the spring one 2 years ago and the winter one last year. So it's been quite a while in between. But with the way things have been going this year, I think that I'm going to get the summer one done and have the series complete this year. Here scraping is nice at the top because the feathers are really translucently painted and getting a little bit lost in the foliage that's behind them, but adding this scraping helps set them apart and put them in front. I'll show you how it's come along so far. I love my camera is behaving so nicely today, so you can see the edges of these feathers scraped away. Really, really lightly and roughly, not trying to get like a big line like on the branch. This almost gives them a sparkly effect. I did it here. I think I'll do some along the edges of this closest part of the wing too. And now that I'm doing it, the scraping is also helping show that these feathers are layered on top of one another, and especially in this area. Looks so good. Here's that little extra bit. Yeah, they really look like they're layered on top of each other and just translucent now. Anywhere else I want to do scraping? Places I don't want to do scraping are where it's a bit of highlight because just light is reflecting off and it should like look shiny and solid. Scraping here for a highlight I like because it gives it a barky kind of texture, like it's the bark of a tree, so I actually like that texture. But for instance, on their eyes and their beaks, those are really smooth materials, so I don't want that like scrapey, grainy texture on those. So now I'm just looking for anywhere else before I move on to the gouache at last.
that I do want scrapey kind of texture, grainy texture. I could add some to the tail, but I've left so much light colored paint, I think that it's actually good. Their nails are another instance where I definitely want to add rather than take away to get a smoother highlight. Could scrape around the leaves, but I don't want to take it too far, and there's so many leaves that keeping the scraping to the branches I think is probably good. Whoops, I grabbed my towel too. Maybe just this little twig coming off here. Because if there's so much light hitting right here, I'll probably be getting a little bit right there too. Maybe a tiny bit here too. Okay, I'm good. Good with scraping. Let's put this back in my cork. Safely in the cork. Actually, I'm not just going to use my hand. This time I shall use my brush. Get all that little dust. So it really does come off. It's more like just dust than anything else. It's so can't really see it to clean it into the trash can like I do with eraser shavings. And these are times when I'm actually glad that I have relatively dry skin, because I can just do stuff like this and not worry about oiling up my paper, because I've got like no oil. My skin is so dry. So even though I know my nails always, like, cuticle area is always so dry and peeling, but I'm like, well, this is an art stream, so it's not a beauty stream, except for these beauties. Oh. Yep, so I'll take that exchange, having peeling dry fingers in order to be able to touch my artwork and not worry about it. Alright, gouache time. So I'm going to clean up my space a little bit, just make some room. I think this is clean enough that I can just put it away. I want to dry it off first. These will get rusty if you don't take good care of them. But I don't see any ink on there, so I'm just plop it right in there. This is still a bit wet from cleaning it in the water, but I think it'll be okay. This is a mesh case, so. Okay. Put this and my inks back on my little turntable thing in here. Like lazy Susan thing I have. Okay. I just need my palette. That's what I need. Ah, where's my favorite palette? Ah, it's underneath. Ooh, it's raining again. It was raining earlier. Well, it started sprinkling. Not really raining, but raindrops are starting to hit my window. I'm looking at my window over there. It's so nice. Rain is my fave. My favorite weather. I got water on this. Wipe that off. On my pants. Like wearing black pants, and I could just wipe all of this stuff on it. Okay. So this is the gouache I have. I've never had to buy gouache because, I did buy it in it. Technically, I bought it, but I didn't choose it. It came in an Art Snacks or something box. So it's cool. It's a Japanese brand, so it has all the names in Japanese as well. I'm just going to use the white. So Holbein. I don't know if it's Holbein. It's probably Holbein because that looks like a German style, and it's usually the vowel at the end is how you pronounce it. Holbein Artist's Gouache Permanent White. And I think this is not acrylic type. But anyway, open this up. We don't need very much. It's a little tiny blob. So little. Yeah, it's a small little blob. Close it back up nice and tight. Done. The brush I'm using is this Connoisseur 000 size. Teeny tiny. It won't even focus. Focus on the brush. No, you can't see this anymore. You must only focus here. Camera is like, no, I see this thing. I focus on the thing down there. There, now you can see. Itty bitty teeny tiny brush. This is the smallest one I have. Ah, thank you, brush. Or thank you, brush. Thank you, camera, for autofocusing. Okay, with gouache, I always like to add a little water because otherwise it doesn't spread the way I want. That does mean I sometimes have to apply it a couple times to get the opacity that I want, but that's fine. I'd rather be able to control it and just control it twice than deal with big gloppy pieces. Okay. As usual, I'm just going to work my way from this side to this side because I'm left-handed, so it's way easier to go like this. So anywhere that looks like it really deserves a shining highlight. Some of these are it's so small that I'm going to try to just barely touch. Don't want to touch too much. I'm actually putting it on the ink line because I think that really helps make it look 3D. Let me see if I can. Oh, you can barely tell the difference, but there's the highlights on those claws. My camera is doing awesome today. It's so good. Okay. Where else? There's plenty of spots where I just left it light enough that I don't feel the need to add any gouache to it. Maybe the tail, we can add a few little lines of fur that's catching the light. I don't want to go crazy though. Already feeling like this is probably enough. But right here, I'm going to add one. And then maybe one up higher. Let's do another one. Alright, that's good. Don't want to take it too far. Alright, next thing is definitely little eyes. I'm just going to put a little, lovely little spot. One on this side. This griffin as well. Boop. Oh, they're coming to life! Oh my gosh! Look at the difference. I mean, it's always like this, but these ones are alive now! The other ones are still, they haven't been brought to life yet. It's so fun how much of a difference it makes. And you've got to do all this other work in order to enjoy this part. Just adding this little single brush tap. And they're alive. They're alive now. They look it's so weird. They look like 3D now. They were looking so flat. Just adding just a little touch. Okay. So I wanted to add some gouache to their beaks, but they're so fine, so small. I think instead of gouache, I'm actually going to get out one of my really fine white gel pens so that I can keep that sharp where the top and the bottom of the beak meet. I don't want to lose that, because these dots for the highlights in their eyes is about as small as this brush is able to make, and that's too big for how small those beaks are. Okay, so that might actually be as much as I want to do with gouache, because they're white birds for the most part. I don't need nearly as much gouache or scraping or anything as I used on these griffins. And also, I don't want as much highlight anyway, because these are all supposed to be inside the canopy of leaves on this tree, and so there wouldn't actually be that much light making really bright highlights. In fact, they probably wouldn't have such bright highlights on their eyes, but my artwork is inspired by Japanese style anime, so it doesn't feel right to me to not have. It feels like they're soulless if they don't have a little highlight in their eyes, regardless of what is like naturalistic to paint. And it's super nice. These have dried so that they're, especially up here, I was like, oh, I really wanted to add a little bit, but is it too much? But the way it dried is it's slightly translucent, so it's not too much. Oh, Exie is here. Hello! How are you? So good to see you. Oh, that's okay. You said you were sick yesterday, so I was just thinking that you were probably just going to bed early. I hope you're feeling all right. Oh, thank you for joining me. Yay! I'm so glad to see you, especially since you are sick. I was like, I hope Exie didn't get really sick or something. Oh, you're just in time for me to take my break, though. Let's see. And it might actually be perfect, too, because... perfect timing for my break, I mean. So I think I'm done with the physical media. I think I'm ready to digitize this and add the little last touches. Oh, wait. I remember. I wanted to do a white gel pen. I was saying that, and then I got distracted from my own ideas. Ooh, let's try this one. I have this 04. Oh, okay. Just a trace amount. Just a trace amount. So have you been feeling better and better each day? So hopefully this will work. I'm going to try it over here real quick. Yeah, this is what I was afraid of. It just doesn't want to write on this paper. I'm so glad that I did these swatches over here before. Okay, so this one's not going to work. I have this one. 05, so slight 1 millimeter. Is it 1 millimeter? I think it's 1/10 of a millimeter. No, a millimeter is 1/10 of a centimeter. Anyway, it's just one size bigger. That one was 04. This is 05. Let's see if this one wants to write. They don't want to write, so I might have to just, if I want to add any more highlights, I might just do it digitally. So I'm going to do digital stuff anyway, so yeah, this isn't going to work. 10 millimeters is a centimeter. Oh yeah, so it is. A millimeter is 1/10 of a centimeter. Okay, good. I did remember correctly. So I think 04, the difference between 04 and 05 on a pen is 1 millimeter. So it's 1 millimeter bigger. Yay! Thank you! You verified that what I was thinking was correct. I don't know if I explained it well, but in my brain it made sense. Okay. I'm just gonna pack this stuff up, because now it's time to move over. I spilled something on here. I gotta clean that off later. But it's perfect timing for me to take a break. Okay, I can clean these later, so I am going to leave this here, put my little, be right back, and sorry to be leaving so soon, actually, after you just got here, but it's break time. I'm going to go do some stretches, and we'll come back and digitize this, do some digital work. Yay! Okay, be back in 5 minutes. I'm back and I see Wolf has arrived too. Hello, Wolf. How are you? Yay! You got here in time for me to be able to wave with my hand. So I am ready to move this onto digital media. So, even though I'm back now, it's going to be a little transition period where I just literally physically move stuff over. Alright. I'm putting away my art container. So that's what these sounds are. I've got these like big scrapbooking containers. They're supposed to be acid free and stuff so that your work stays nice. Although I'm kind of suspecting that might not be the case because one of the containers, the oldest one, is turning yellow. So, what the heck. But anyway, let's see. Okay, I gotta move my monitor. It's on an arm, so it's not hard to move. Just scoot the monitor this way. Move my mouse back over to my PC workstation. And, okay. I'm going to get my microphone next, but just in case it's noisy to move it, I'm gonna mute it for a second. Okay, looks like you can hear me. So, now I am opening up my scanner and I'm gonna put this painting upon it on the glass surface. Close lid. And see about, okay, I need my phone just in case I need it for something. Grab my phone, but I gotta remember, keep phone away from microphone. Keep it away from microphone. Okay. Now, I'll do my best to switch to. Oh, thank you, Exie. Switching to. Now, this was pretty easy last time. Boom! Yay! Now you can see my desktop with my beautiful Olympia Soiree wallpaper. Time to scan! So opening scanner. Scanner's already on. This is from when I scanned it to do the work in progress Patreon rewards. So I'm going to do a preview. Oh, my drink. My lovely tea. Okay, where am I going to set that? I'll set it there. Okay, sweet. We've got our preview on there, so let's rotate it first. It just makes it easier to rotate it now than to have to do it later. And then put this frame around here. This is way bigger than what the actual cutoff area is, so this should be fine. And then we'll just click scan. So when I scan, I always like to do 600 DPI, and then that way it's really easy, so you can scale down as much as you want because you've just got huge, so you can make any size that's smaller. 600, you can make a print at absolutely perfect quality, twice as big as the original image, basically, without any worries. So if for some reason I ever wanted to make a really big double-sized version, I would definitely be able to do that with a 600 DPI scan. And then really, even if you have 300 DPI, I think you could blow it up to twice the size and still, well, not blow it up, but print it at twice the size. Like, you don't want to digitally blow it up because that creates new visual information. Like, digital visual information that's not actually there, and then so it doesn't look as good. So that's why it's good to scan big and then make it into smaller sizes. I don't know if any of that makes sense, but that's why I scan way bigger than what's necessary. What's necessary for a really nice quality print is just 300. That's all you need, 300 dpi. But I think that it's worth the increased file size. It has been for me. It's peace of mind. I can always work with these images and not have to rescan them. Of course, it takes a little while because it's so big. There we go. Yay! Alright, let me get this out of the scanner first because I don't like to leave it in there. So I'll just set that on top of my scanner. And so we're done with this. Yay! And we can open this with Photoshop. And I don't need the raw for this. We'll just open it as is. Sometimes the raw is all I do, but I don't use it too much. Okay. Next thing I want to do... Ah, where's my cursor? Oh, there it is. I lost it. Opening my art files folder, and I want to open, okay, projects, seasonal Gryphon greeting cards. I want to open my other ones so that I can compare what I did, just like what I was doing earlier in this stream where I got the physical paintings out for the spring and winter Gryphons, so that I could compare and make sure. And that's how I was like, oh, I forgot that I did scraping. I wasn't even planning on doing scraping. So I'm going to do the same thing here. Opening, oh, and it looks like I used Clip Studio Paint for both of these as well, but I'm going to open these two files so I can compare what I did. So open with, where's open with? Oh, you can just choose open. Okay, gotcha. There we go. Okay. Alright, so we can see lots. Tone down highlights. Oh, I toned down the highlights on this one. Interesting. Oh, I can't see. That's the only one. Original scan. Oh, I really changed the color on it. I remember for some reason it didn't scan very, it scanned very blue. Okay, so that's something I did. Snowflakes. Add the snowflakes on top. A gradient for lighting. A gradient to make it cooler because it's winter. Okay, awesome. And then my watermark for posting it on DeviantArt and stuff. What about the spring one? Everything folder. Let's see. Sakura pattern. Oh, right, I see. Oh, I see. I did an experiment on this one. I see. But I tried blurring the wings to make it look like it was caught mid-flight. But I like it better without. So I took the blur away. Okay, I see. I do too many things to my pieces to remember on my own the things that I did. So Sakura pattern. Edited just a little bit. This kind of thing. Oh yeah, I had to take these all onto their own layers. Ah, I might do that. So that the Sakura pattern is not on top of the Gryphon. I made a copy and cut the Gryphon onto its own. So that's another option. And then we also have a color and gradient overlay. Okay. So there's plenty of digital work to be done here, in other words. And I'm pretty sure the Clip Studio Paint files are there because that's where I got the Sakura pattern and the snowflake patterns. They're much better on Clip Studio Paint, stuff like this. Alright, but I think the first thing I'll do is... Actually, I'm going to open a new file. So what I want these to be... Do a print so it automatically puts inches. I want it to be... So it's going to be a 5 by 7. So I want it to be 10 by 7. 10 by 7. Yes. Because when it gets folded in half, that's how it becomes a 5 by 7. And resolution 300. I'll start with 600. I can't remember. What did I do here? Oh, image size. Okay. I did only 300 inches. Oh, but it's 20 by 14, so no, I think I did do 600, but for some reason Photoshop does this. It makes it this part bigger, not this part bigger, so okay. This one is good. Oops, cancel. Thank you. Move this over. Now, what are you doing? I just want you to move over here. Can't you just move over here? Thank you. Okay. Now I can just pull this directly into this file and we'll center it. This branch is supposed to be behind this leaf, but it looks like it's just an unfinished branch because the leaf is not really covering it right there. I might fix that up. That's the kind of thing I like to fix in Photoshop. Little small details like that that nobody else would even care about, but to me it makes a difference. So, alright, let's put a guide here in the center. Oh, it does not want to snap. Why don't you want to snap? Fine, I'll make it like this. Guides, new guide, and you put, okay, vertical, yes, and you put 50%, and it puts it in the middle. Boom! Now I can see where the fold for the half fold card would be. Right here. I just wanted to make sure what will be, so there'll be a tiny amount, a few millimeters lost here because of the thickness of the paper when it folds. But I think this is good, and this is going to do exactly what I wanted, which is be a sort of an invitation to the viewer to see, like, what? There's a little head here, so hopefully they would look on the back of the card and be like, oh, look, there's a whole rest of the picture. Because what I've found so far with these cards is that everyone looks at the front half and they're like, oh, it's so lovely, and that's it. They look at the front, they open it, read the message, and say, oh, thank you. Don't think to look on the back, so this ended up being a nice little opportunity to hopefully invite them to look at the back, because otherwise this is kind of random to just be here if this right side was really all there was to it. Okay, next thing, this is another good reason to have this illustration out to see, is I purposefully have my scanner set to scan lighter than what it actually is in real life, because I found that if I don't change that setting, it scans too dark depending on the piece. So I just fix that myself by going into the levels. So I'm looking at physical piece in front of me. I'm going to take darks down. Also bring lights up. Alright, these darks are too dark now. So let's reduce that. Oh, this is nice. I know there's not really much happening on the screen, but I'm just looking down, looking up, comparing, and it's really tough because it's different. The scan is just not lit the same way as the piece is in front of my eyes, and I always have to keep that in mind. But I think this is good. It's in fact a little bit more contrast over here than what I'm seeing in reality, but I actually like that because you can see these little strokes meant to make it look fluffy. You can see them better. How about this highlight? If we just make it just a teeny bit, just with one single number lighter. Okay, I'm going to apply that and then compare it. Oh yes. Okay. And as far as color goes, unlike the Winter Gryphon where I had to adjust the color itself, I am once again just looking down, looking up, but I think it's good. Okay, sweet. Okay, next thing I want to do is save. Let's see. Artwork projects. Seasonal Gryphon greeting cards. Let's make this a list. Alright, that's the format I was doing. So 24. What is today? Oh, right. 0201. The 1st of February. And this is Autumn Gryphon. There. Yay! Saved. And we can close this now. We don't need this one anymore. Now, do I need to look at these? I think it probably will be good to do what I did here and make a separate layer where I cut the griffins out and also these branches that are inside the canopy so that I can just freely apply a leaf texture just like these sakura and snowflakes. And I could just freely apply it without trying to be careful about where they're going. And then hopefully that will add even more to that feeling of them being inside of the tree's canopy. So I like to do this the long way. I don't know, I actually enjoy it. So it's gonna take longer than it might, but I just like to erase, do a little bit more physical style erasing. Okay, I'm moving my tablet down, so that's the noises. Yay. Okay, let's actually name this real quick. I don't know how to say griffin in Japanese. It's probably Gryphon. We're gonna call it that. Gryphon. Yay. Okay. Gryphon. And there actually is some smart selections. Let's see if I can use this one. So maybe I can... Oh, no, that's not working the way I thought. Okay, here we go. I can make it a little bit easier for myself by using these smart tools and then cutting back with precision on top of that. This kind of thing is... Oh! It's selecting the whole thing. That's okay. This kind of thing is what makes it worth it to get the subscription for Creative Cloud. This is so cool. Alright, where's my shift My mapped shift. Okay, it's at the top. Adding more, adding more. It just ends up selecting most of it. And down the tails. Down this tail. And down this one. Just pick that whole thing. I don't know how much time it's actually saving me. It's hard to tell what's even selected. Select the whole thing there too. Oh well. Ooh, this is really making my computer have to work though. Fans are revving up. I don't know if this was actually very helpful to do this. Select and expand. Well, it's not even a big enough of an expansion. Let's expand again. Alright, I think this has got selected everything I wanted. Oh, what about this branch? I want some of this branch too. Kind of do. Alright, I'm just going to use the classic lasso tool to add this branch in here. Boop. I guess I should have just done this from the beginning. The tools are not smart enough yet for the precision that I need. Like, here's so confusing. Okay, I see. It didn't select this branch, which is fine because I can just let that one sort of go off into the distance. Really? Awesome! Oh, I think they made that into an anime. And, I watched some of it. I didn't watch very much of it, though. Because it was back, but, like, when I was, like, a kid, basically. And so all I could watch was on TV when we had TV, you know. I can adjust the sensitivity. Well, next time I'll play around with it a little bit more first. Because now that you say that, that's true. So I was using the quick selection tool. Is this it? Anyway, we've already got so much selected. I'm now at this point just trying to make sure that I'm not going to delete something that I don't want to delete. So some of these branches I do actually want to erase from this layer. Other branches I want to keep so that they'll be in front of the leaf pattern that I'm going to eventually add. Ooh, should I just go ahead and do it and see how it goes? It's really hard to look at, so let's go to, oh wait, don't I have a delete button? I do. Yay, I mapped delete. Delete. Ah! Ah, deleted the wrong part. Undo. I've got to reverse the select. Select. How do I reverse the select? Inverse. Now, delete. Okay, I guess as I go through and more finely erase, I should be able to tell if there's anything that I want to bring back, and that's why definitely making it a separate layer. I mean, obviously you need to make it a separate layer no matter what, but I can always bring it back from the original layer. Okay, so let's deselect. Gasp. At the wrong part disappearing. Okay, let me make sure these are okay. Hard round and yes, and all at 100. Excellent. So now, no, there. This is the part that I was saying. I just like to do this simple, slow, simple, classic. Just erasing away precision. I feel better doing this way. I have more control over it. It does take longer and is a little tedious, but it's also another one of those like meditative moments that just can just get into it and don't have to be making a bunch of big decisions. Wolf, did you start reading Saint Seiya? What? Why do you say that? I do have history available. I guess I did used to use it quite a bit, history. I would do things like lock the moment in the history so that I could definitely go back. But it's been a really long time since I felt the need to do that. Now that you mention it, I didn't even think about it. Oh. Ah, 20 pages in. How many pages? Like, I don't know how many pages usually in a manga. 100? I just read a manga the other day. A Man and His Cat, Volume 2. It's such a sweet manga. How was it so far, Saint Seiya? Have not read that. I've not read the manga. I think I watched some of the anime ages and ages and ages ago. Now that I've erased this twig, I'm wondering if it actually might be better to have it be behind the layer of feathers, or not feathers, of leaves, so that it's the layer of leaf texture might actually be able to provide a buffer visually between the body of this griffin and these twigs that almost look like they're growing out of it. So actually I'm going to do that. Now that I'm thinking about it, these ones are going into the background. Oh, you made it even farther than you thought. 183, huh? What's the story about? I don't even remember. I just remember it looked very beautiful. That's what I remember. Alright, gotta make this smaller. Smaller brush. How are we on time? Okay, we've got still 25 minutes. And I'm not going to forget today to raid. Oh no, I was erasing away some wing. Oh no, don't erase away the wing. Okay, there. Ah. Oh, cool. Oh,
sounds like. I would like it. That's probably why I did like it. But didn't ever finish watching the anime. I think it was on Toonami? Way back in the day, Toonami. I was so lucky if we had cable television because I could watch Toonami and watch 5 episodes of an anime and never watch it again because we didn't have TV anymore, and also it was not consistent at all getting episodes out. There would be times you'd be waiting for episodes for an anime for years. That happened with Dragon Ball Z. It was like such a nightmare, and that's how we got into just downloading fan subs. My mom was actually super into anime with us too, and she was sick of it, and she got us good internet and everything because we were trying to download them on a dial-up connection, which is like a nightmare. Even with a little small, really crappy VHS rip fan sub, downloading over a dial-up connection, this is one of my best memories. We waited 2 days for it to download, and when it finally downloaded, my mom was so excited that she let me stay home from school just so we could watch that episode ASAP. That was the best. It was the best. And so she got us good internet after that. It was worth the splurge in order to be able to get this fan subs. Oh, interesting. Main character from Japan, but the rest are Greece. Blue Giant. I've never heard of Blue Giant, but Yu Yu Hakusho, that's another one. That's another Toonami one. Or was it Toonami or was it Adult Swim? Can't remember at that point. One of my friends really loves Yu Yu Hakusho. My favorite character... I didn't get too much into it, but my favorite character was Kuwabara. Still remember that, even though I didn't get into it like with Sailor Moon or DBZ or Gundam Wing, but... probably Adult Swim. Yeah. So you saw some of Yu Yu Hakusho, though. Okay, I'm gonna get rid of this guide. I don't need it now, and I don't want my brush to snap to it as I'm erasing. Oh, okay. Jazz anime. Was it originally a manga, or is the manga an adaptation of the anime? Oh, jazz manga. I mean, it's probably an anime, too. So many manga, but not all. There's actually a surprising amount that don't get anime, but so many get anime adaptations. I will eventually be doing my little trick on here to make sure I didn't leave any unerased pixels. But I'll wait till the very end, so that's quite a ways away. I love erasing away around the watercolor because I get to choose like which line of watercolor exactly is the edge. Oh, all recommendations from the guy at work. Well, even I haven't heard of Blue Giant, but the other two are very popular, so I'm sure that it's plenty good in its own way. Definitely, if it's a music manga, I expect it'll be a lot different. So Yu Yu Hakusho is shonen. I guess Saint Seiya might be shoujo? There was a similarly titled anime that is also a manga that I watched last year, or I think it was last year, called Blue Period, which is based on the title is based on the Van Gogh's, or not Van Gogh, Picasso's Blue Period. And so it's about a high school student who decides that he wants to study art in college or something like that, and so, but he has like no experience making art whatsoever. And it was great watching that. Nah, it must have been a couple years ago, because I think I was watching it around the time I was finishing my art degree, or right after that, and I was like, oh, it's so true. Oh, that is so true. And then other things, I was like, oh, wow, it must be really different in Japan for art programs or something. It was really fun to watch from that point of view as an art student myself. We're slowly moving our way around. Forest of Kai. I wonder if there's something that I liked that got adapted into an anime again like a couple years ago that was about a forest. No, it was the forest golem or something. I don't think I've heard of that one either. Well, if you read any of these ones that I've never heard of before and that you think they're good, then I would love your recommendations, because I love reading manga. Well, I just love reading. So I made it my goal this year. For many, many, many years, I've been setting a amount of books goal. And it always ends up being super hard by the end of the year to reach the goal, even though I love reading. So I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm just making a pages goal. Just read a page a day. And I've actually been reading I have like doubled a page a day already. We're only 1 month in. I've finished a book, and I'm currently reading 2 books. So, I finished actually 2 books because I finished that manga. A Man and His Cat, Volume 2. So sweet. Lovely, lovely manga. Oh, interesting. The Perfect World of Kai. A piano manga. Another music one. Interesting. I've not heard of it. So a couple of shoujo shonen type and a couple of music manga. Alright, I guess I better focus on this branch for a little bit. I'm getting behind on the branch. Do you have any impressions of Saint Seiya yet? Or are you gonna hold off on any judgment until you finish that first volume? I want to finish A Man and His Cat. I have up to, I think, volume 7? I think, at least. And then after that, there's a couple more series that I want to finish that I own the volumes, or at least I own a number of the volumes, and I bought them because I like the anime version, and I want to read the manga version, and then I didn't actually read them. It can really differ, too.
the quality of art in a manga. For me, that's I guess it makes sense because I'm a visual artist, but for me, that's kind of it can be a deal breaker for me when reading a manga if the art is just so bad that I can't concentrate on the story. So having beautiful art, I think, is a big plus. After all, the story could be told in words, so I think that it's a little bit of a requirement to have decent artwork. But I have read some manga where the art at the beginning is like, ugh, how did this get adapted into an anime? And then as the volumes progress, the skill of the mangaka increases, and I'm like, oh, okay, this is why, because they got real good while they were making it, as it was being published. And then that kind of humbles me in my judgment. Like, okay, I was being judgmental. I should give it more of a chance when I'm reading a manga. Because it can get good even in publication from beginning to end. A lot of times I think what happens is my finger sticks to the side button on my stylus, and that's why I'm trying to open the right click menu, but it closes right away because my finger is stuck on the button, and so I have to keep clicking it over and over to finally get it to open sometimes. All the way up? Nope, it's not all the way up. Gotta make sure to go all the way to the top of this branch. Even right here, I think I shall turn the opacity down and turn the softness up, well, hardness down, and have this fade. Make it way bigger because that's even softer. The end of this branch fade. Oh, only 10 minutes left. Turn up the opacity some. Hopefully I'll remember what I was doing when I come back to this next week. There. Okay. Bring all these settings back up to 100. Oh, hardness, that's what I want. And turn the size back down. For a while, I was making a webcomic manga style. Just remembered that. But it taught me that I don't want to be a mangaka. It was very, very, very labor intensive. That's why there's a push now for more healthy working conditions for mangaka everywhere in Japan, because that's just the expectations, the amount of work they're expected to get done, even with assistance, is not healthy at all. And you can even see I don't see it so much today, which I think is a good sign, but older manga that I read, and they would have the translated author's notes at the end, which are usually like a little fun message to the reader about what they were up to and how this volume came to be and everything. And there would be like
yeah, I spent 16-hour days getting these last few chapters done. Or whatever, like just crazy stuff, or like how they're like turning into a zombie because they don't get any sleep, but they were able to get it done, so they're happy. And so like, I want you to take care of yourself so that you can live as long as possible and make more manga, even if it's slower. So I don't see those kind of messages so much in the manga I've read recently, so that's nice. There's actually a term in Japan for death by overwork, which is karoshi. Like, that's how big of a problem it is. And of course in the 90s, and I think even in the maybe 80s, early 2000s as well, 90s was definitely a big problem, but so many workers just killing themselves because, not just mangaka, I don't know if any mangaka kill themselves, but it's just so sad for anybody to be worked so hard that they would rather die. It's just, I don't want that for anybody, so I am happy to have my manga come out nice and slow if it means the author is healthy and safe. That was my experience making a webcomic, this is what I was getting at. I was like, man, I couldn't even make a few pages. I made like 2 pages. That's all I could do in months. Of course, I wasn't doing it as a job. I was just doing it for fun. But it still really gave me perspective for how hard it is. How much work it is. Okay, I'll have those branches fading into the background. Okay, put that hardness back up. We still have 6 minutes. Just keep chugging along until we run out of time, then we'll go raid. I think we're gonna raid, oh, well, I'll look at it. Oh yes, Margot Simone Art. I don't know if I'm pronouncing her name right, but Exie recommended her stream last week, and I enjoyed it, so let's raid her again today. She's just similar to me. It seems nice and chill. Welcoming to everybody kind of thing. That's what I like. I stream what I like, so I want to raid what I like too. Yeah, this process takes a while, but this is just very, very fun. I quite enjoy doing this. It's like coloring backwards. Taking things away to the lines instead of adding them within the lines. Gotta have a light hand here. Pressure sensitive brush. So I get in that little corner. If I keep it light enough. Wolf, who's the author of Saint Seiya? I have a feeling that they might have done something else that I actually watched / read more. I might be thinking of a different person. Or a different manga, probably. Then again, I might not recognize the name anyway. Well, that's the kind of thing I feel interested to look it up on Wikipedia real quick when I'm done here. Masami Kurumada. Nope, not familiar. But I bet if I look it up, if there's another one that was at least coming out at the same time in America, and maybe that's why I'm associating them together. brush teeny tiny to get in here under this fluffy feather. Alright, and the underside of this branch. So watercolor is so nice on this relatively rough paper. The edges of this branch are just naturally seem like branch texture. I guess it makes sense because paper is made out of wood. Well, no, this paper is cotton, but it's made out of plant materials, so it makes sense that it has the potential to naturally make a plant texture. Try to pull it down, but I wasn't actually on the slidey bar. I had completely forgotten the extent of digital stuff that I had been doing to these, so I thought I might be able to finish this today, but definitely not. There's plenty to do. But with 4 hours next week, might be able to finish it next week. It's actually a good thing because I was like, oh no, what if I finish it tomorrow? I don't have another illustration ready, and the prep work for an illustration is not something that I would like to live stream because it's... I need the time to think and just look up images online and stuff, and that's just not the kind of thing I want to... I don't want to live stream me like just sitting quietly. But not doing anything. I don't want to live stream just looking at pictures on Google. But I don't think that will be a problem because there's still plenty of work to do here. And in the meantime, my plan is to start the prep work on the next illustration next week. I haven't decided 100%, but I think what I want to do next is a new birthday card illustration. I made one a couple years ago, but I've now already sent it to all my people, so I want to make a new one for birthdays starting whenever I finish it. So if I can get it finished in February, for instance, then everybody starting from March on my birthday list will get this new card. I would definitely make it another Gryphon birthday. Last time it was a scene of Gryphons having a birthday party just in the, like, out in the woods with the starry sky, and there was a birthday cake on a stump lighting up the scene, and everything is kind of dreamy. So I'd like to do something different, but still Gryphons. I need some time to brainstorm ideas. Oh, yay! I'm glad you liked it. That one was more, I'll call it cartoony, than the seasonal Gryphons are more like, what if Gryphons were actual animals? So more naturalistic. So I definitely would like to make it another cartoony scene like that. Appropriate for birthdays, I think, to do that. At least for me. For me, birthday is fun, party time. Hanging out with friends. Doing games or something. Yeah, that's something I could think about. What games would griffins play? Birthday games. But I always start with words, list of words that, what reminds me of birthday. So cake was a big one. Cake, presents. Balloons does come to mind, so I will probably write that down, but I don't like balloons because they're plastic and they pollute the earth. So I'm like, trying to keep it kind of natural looking because I don't want any negativity in my scenes. Yeah, family, friends, happy. Yes, happy definitely. Yeah, it's got to be a group, I think, for me. So that's excellent. Family, friends for sure. No matter what the rest of the scene is. And then happy, yes. Happy is my theme for my whole everything I want to do with my art. So happy. Yeah, I guess games would be really fun. I don't want to get stuck on an idea already though, but games would be fun. Griffins might play something like hide and seek or pin the tail on the donkey or something. I don't like the idea of the pin the tail on the donkey part, but it could be some different way of doing that kind of game. I mean, if it's cartoony, they could even just be playing like a board game. They could play a board game. They could be playing tag. They could do like Griffin pool party. And they're just playing like with a beach ball or something in there. Oh, that's so cute. That's an adorable idea. I'm definitely going to keep that in mind. Baby Griffin for birthday. That's so cute. Oh, I love that idea. Thank you. I never would have thought of that because I don't think about babies. Even though I did end up writing in unexpectedly a group of 5 Griffin children in my novel that I'm working on. I was like, oh, and there's also kids. I love writing because stuff like that happens. Like, I was not planning on having any Griffin kids. It just was not something I was thinking about. And then I was like, well, this Griffin is mom, and her kids are coming, and they want to come with her. And she's like, no, you have to stay here. And they're like, oh, come on, or whatever. So I have actually recently been working with Griffin kids recently. That would be so cute. The baby Griffin could be in a nest. And the family would be all around. And they'd have like, I think one of people's faves is giving the baby the cake, and then the baby doesn't know what to do with it and just puts it all over the face. So this baby Griffin could have a cake all over the face. Or it could just be more magical with the eyes all lit up by the sparkling candles. Or it could be like the mama Griffin holding the baby up. And then everybody's got like presents and stuff. Or it could be the baby is after opened all the presents, eaten the cake, and just enjoying all the new baby Gryphon toys. Just surrounded by all kinds of toys. What kind of toys Gryphons would play with, I'm not sure. I'd have to think about it. Yeah, the Gryphon baby having all the toys would be like, I could write inside, I hope you got everything you wanted for your birthday. Started erasing over here because we're over time. I didn't even realize it. I thought it was 28. It's 38. Alright, I gotta stop. We gotta go raid. Okay, lifting up my tablet monitor. Push that back. Dang. Yeah, 8 minute extra. Having such a good time just erasing away. Okay, let's save this real quick. See, save that. Erasing away and chatting and brainstorming and getting great ideas. Okay, but let's go raid. So let's see, how do I... So I'm pretty sure I saw that she was streaming. So let's see if I can just do this without even looking if she's still on. So, what was her name? Margot Simone Art, I think. Okay. We're gonna try raiding. Oh, the raid has been created! Hooray! Ah, I'm so glad I remembered today. 5 viewers ready. Woohoo! Oh, you're welcome. Thank you everybody for joining me. Let's go raid. I don't know if the raid happened. It didn't switch, but the thing went away. Is anyone still here, or did everybody get sent over? It has not sent me to raid. Oh, I think it's sending now, because now it's down to 3 viewers. For anybody watching the stream still or watching the recording, I'm going to log off of my stream, and hopefully everybody did get sent over on the raid. That's it for today. I'll be back tomorrow with a Chibi Friday. We're going to finish up the Happy Ranger custom emote for Twitch. Yay! So I hope to see you then. Thank you for watching!